Everything you think you know about Cleopatra is probably wrong. She's been sold to us as the ultimate self-made queen, the seductress who conquered Rome with her beauty, the powerful ruler who commanded armies and built an empire. But strip away Hollywood's glamour and romantic legends, and you'll find a very different story. Cleopatra wasn't a rags-to-riches success story. She didn't fight any wars. She didn't conquer new territories. In fact, she didn't even win back her own throne through her own power. What she did do was use her body, her charm, and Rome's political chaos to cling desperately to a kingdom that was already dying. The real Cleopatra is far less impressive than the myth, and today we're going to expose exactly why history's most famous queen might actually be one of its most overrated. Let's start with the inconvenient truth that destroys the entire self-made queen narrative. Cleopatra was born into unimaginable wealth and power. She was a Ptolemy, part of the Greek dynasty that had ruled Egypt for 3 centuries. Her father, Ptolemy XII, handed her the throne on a silver platter when he died. She didn't fight for it, didn't earn it, didn't build it. She inherited one of the richest kingdoms in the ancient world simply because of whose daughter she happened to be. This wasn't a woman who rose from nothing. This was the ancient world's equivalent of inheriting a billion-dollar company from daddy. And even then, with all that inherited power and wealth, she couldn't hold on to it. According to Egyptian tradition, she had to co-rule with her 10-year-old brother, Ptolemy XIII, a literal child. But even sharing power with a 10-year-old wasn't enough to keep her in control. The nobles and advisors of her own court turned against her. They saw through whatever political skills she claimed to have. Within just a few years of inheriting her throne, her own kingdom rejected her leadership and exiled her. Think about that. She was handed absolute power in one of the world's greatest kingdoms, and she lost it almost immediately. Not to a foreign invasion, and not to a natural disaster, but because her own people didn't want her as their leader. So there she was, exiled and powerless, when Julius Caesar arrived in Egypt. Now here's where the legend wants you to believe she was some brilliant political strategist. But let's be honest about what actually happened. She didn't negotiate her way back to power. She didn't rally an army. She didn't win the hearts and minds of her people. She had herself smuggled to Caesar, wrapped in a carpet, revealed herself to him in what was basically an ancient striptease, and seduced a man old enough to be her grandfather. This wasn't political genius. This was using the only card she had left, her sexuality, to manipulate a powerful man into fighting her battles for her. And it worked, but not because of her. It worked because Julius Caesar was Julius Caesar, one of the greatest military commanders in human history. He fought her war for her. His Roman legions, not any Egyptian forces she commanded, defeated her enemies and restored her to the throne. She contributed nothing to this victory except providing Caesar with a reason to get involved. The famous Battle of the Nile that secured her power? That was Caesar's battle, Caesar's strategy, Caesar's soldiers dying for her throne. She watched from her palace while Rome's military might won back her kingdom. This is the woman we celebrate as a great ruler? She was a client queen propped up entirely by foreign military intervention. Now let's talk about her actual reign, the period when she supposedly proved herself as a great queen. What did Cleopatra actually accomplish while she sat on the throne of Egypt? Did she expand her kingdom's borders? No. Did she conquer new territories? No. Did she ever personally lead her troops into battle like so many other ancient queens and female rulers did? Absolutely not. She sat in her palace, living off the accumulated wealth of 3 centuries of Ptolemaic rule, and watched as Egypt's power and influence continued to decline under her watch. Think about the other famous queens of the ancient world. Boudica led her armies in person against Rome. Zenobia conquered territories and expanded her empire. Even Hatshepsut, ruling Egypt over 1,000 years before Cleopatra, led military campaigns and commissioned great building projects. What did Cleopatra do? She threw lavish parties, conducted her love affairs, and made sure she stayed in the good graces of whichever Roman happened to hold power at the moment. That's not leadership. That's survival through seduction. When Julius Caesar was assassinated, her entire world collapsed because her power was built on nothing but her relationship with him. So what did the great strategic mind of Cleopatra do? She found another powerful Roman to seduce. Mark Antony became her new protector. And once again, it wasn't her political skill or leadership ability that secured the alliance. Their combined forces met Octavian's Roman legions at the Battle of Actium, and here we see the final proof of Cleopatra's failure as a leader. When the battle turned against them, what did the great queen of Egypt do? She fled. She abandoned the fight, turned her ships around, and ran away, leaving Mark Antony and their soldiers to die. Antony, besotted with her, made the catastrophic decision to follow her, abandoning his own forces in the middle of battle. It was one of the most dishonorable acts in Roman military history, and it destroyed him. The battle was a complete disaster. Octavian's forces annihilated what remained of their fleet. Mark Antony, consumed by shame and grief, committed suicide, and Cleopatra, facing the reality that she would be captured and paraded through as a prisoner, took what she saw as the only way out. She committed suicide by allowing a venomous asp to bite her. Even in death, she chose theater over substance, dying in a way that would seem dramatic and romantic to future generations. So why do we remember Cleopatra as one of history's greatest queens? Because she was excellent at one thing and one thing only, crafting her own legend. She understood the power of spectacle and seduction, and she used both to ensure that her story would be told in the most dramatic, romantic terms possible. Roman historians, particularly those writing after her death, were fascinated by her because she represented the exotic, dangerous East. She became a symbol rather than a person, and that symbol has been endlessly romanticized by everyone from Shakespeare to Hollywood. But strip away the romance and the legend, and what are you left with? A queen who inherited her throne, lost it through her own incompetence, seduced her way back to power using foreign military might, accomplished nothing of substance during her reign, failed to protect her kingdom from Rome's inevitable conquest, and ultimately committed suicide rather than face the consequences of her failures. That's not a success story. That's a cautionary tale about the dangers of valuing style over substance and confusing seduction with leadership. The real tragedy of Cleopatra isn't her death. It's that we've held her up as an example of female power and achievement when she was actually the opposite. She represents what happens when someone relies entirely on the power of others, when manipulation replaces genuine ability, and when preserving one's own status becomes more important than actually leading. Egypt became a Roman province after her death, absorbed into an empire that would last another 5 centuries. Cleopatra's dynasty ended with her because she contributed nothing lasting, nothing sustainable, nothing that could survive without the military might of whichever Roman she happened to be sleeping with at the time.